Hi, welcome to Relax and Breathe. Today my guest is the lovely Sarah McLean, and Sarah is a best-selling Hay House author, meditation teacher, and speaker around the world. So Sarah, hi.
Hi, thanks for having me on your show.
Well, welcome back. It's exciting to be talking to you again because I know you have a new book out and you have lots of events going on.
Yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit about your work and the way that you're expanding it these days for people that, may not be that familiar with it?
Sure. I've been teaching meditation probably, if I do quick public math, probably about 24 years. And I've been meditating longer than that. And I've been teaching people to meditate long before meditation was cool. I'd have to sort of convince them or tell them, trust me, it works. But what's so great now is that so much research is proving the effects of meditation. And so now it seems as if anybody's ready to learn. And so it's making my job a lot easier. I started teaching meditation for Deepak Chopra many years ago. I was the director of education for his center. And then I left after about 8 years and went to India to live in a regular traditional guru-based ashram. And then I came back and moved into a Zen Buddhist monastery for 2 years. But then I eventually ended up here in Sedona, Arizona, where I'm talking to you from, where I have a meditation center and also an international meditation teacher academy. I teach teachers all over the world in little spots that I'd never be able to reach how to teach their communities, how to meditate and get those benefits, such as joy and peace and contentment and creativity and better health and well-being. So I live in Sedona. I have a meditation center here, and I started writing books about meditation just based on how I used to teach. First one is called Soul Centered, Transform Your Life in 8 Weeks of Meditation. And that's really based on my personal journey. Condensed into 8 weeks, it's probably a 20-year journey into self-realization, understanding beginner's mind, understanding present moment awareness, looking at the ways in which I treat myself and other people. And I'll go into that a little bit more through our talk. But the next book I wrote was really a result of personally exploring the world of attention. And of course, it's apropos now. The book took forever to write, but we've heard of these sayings like where your attention goes, energy flows, or what you put your attention on is enlivened, or what you look for, you will find, or what you are looking for is looking through you, or all of these aphorisms about attention. But what my book really does is explore the power that you and I both have, and everyone on this call has, through their attention.
Yeah, and that's an aspect of meditation that sometimes people don't understand is the power of attention. So, could you talk a little bit about that aspect of meditation?
Sure. Well, I like to break down meditation into 3 components. And, because I've really explored meditation as you have and many of your listeners have, I noticed there are 3 components similar to almost every meditation. I'll explain the almost. The first is your willingness to do it, your resolve to not only do it every day, but to stick with your practice as, the roughness kicks in, whether it's restlessness or boredom or to-do lists. And so that resolve is key for everyone. The second ingredient for any meditation, and this is the attention part, is your gentle, non-judgmental attention. And this meditation practice, any practice, is really designed to help you to train your attention. That's what the practice is all about, is to be able to train your attention to focus on one thing at a time, and then to deepen that ability to sustain the attention. And then ultimately, the results are some of the experiences you and I and probably some other people have had with meditation, where you, the subject, and that which you pay attention to, the object, eventually the duality is dissolved, and what's left is pure attention or pure awareness. So the third ingredient is whatever that object is that you're paying attention to. So in Zen, what do you pay attention to? You pay attention to your breath, right? You pay attention to that felt sense of breathing, the physical sensation. But other people pay attention to a sound-based focus, such as counting the breaths, or a mantra. And yet other people use visual focuses. So every meditation includes all three. Your resolve, which is sankalpa in Sanskrit, your gentle attention, and a focus for your attention or an object. So I say it's almost every meditation because there are those meditations that are called open awareness practices where you've got your resolve and your attention, but you simply welcome everything that meets your senses versus focusing specifically on one thing. So that's where I started looking at attention as, okay, what kind of attention is required for meditation? And then these other questions came after that. How does meditation, whatever you're doing, train your attention? Also, what is the source of that attention? What is the source of that which is right now looking through your eyes or listening through your ears? And what is that awakeness that has to be included in this meditation, this consciousness? And so I started to ask that question regularly in meditation. What is the source of my attention? And then the book was born.
Oh, nice. I like that. That's a beautiful story.
So what is the source of your attention? When you turn your attention inward, what is that source of your attention? What would you say, Pompe?
Well, what I would say is, first of all, that's the ultimate spiritual question, which always comes back to who am I and who is it? Like the first spiritual question posed to me by a teacher was, who is it that senses, looks, and listens? Because I was doing an awareness practice that was based on sensing, looking, and listening. And in Zen, it's you awaken in the space between your thoughts. That's what I teach people. So again, it is, who is that? And then you get into the whole depth of the difference between theistic teaching and non-theistic, and consciousness and awareness, and the different aspects of that in meditation, which, are topics that you and I like to explore. And so
who did you come up with when you asked that question? Or is that question a koan?
For me, it's always a koan, which is always Buddha nature, which is the Zen, the Zen quality of awareness and non-dualistic, not consciousness. It's really awareness and a field of awareness and an ocean of awareness. And so for me, that's always the answer to those particular questions. That's the answer to every koan for me.
Yes, and so for listeners who don't know what koans are, for me what a koan is a question that stops the mind. It stops the questioner so that is the only thing that's left. It stops the activity of the question, and all that's left is the questioner. And so for me, the koan of what is the source of my attention? And I love what you say, who is it that's looking and listening and sensing? But then who's even asking that question? I mean, so the ancient seekers and sages like Ramana Maharshi, and even though he was not even that long ago, would ask all of his followers, well, from where does that question arise? And who's asking that question? And for those of you listening to what we're talking about, it might not make any sense to you, but when Pompe says Buddha nature, it's an awareness that she's describing in words, but quite often the realization does not have any ability. It's not explainable. It's a direct experience,
right.
Like eating a yummy piece of fruit. You can't tell people about it. Really, they have to taste it themselves.
Yes, and that's why that's the kind of the cosmic paradox, is that you move beyond concepts and you move beyond words and you move into like the Platonic concept where the word is actually an experience. So when you use the word Buddha nature or awareness or attention, it's a description of an experience.
Exactly. So let's give the listeners and watchers some experience right now just for a minute.
Perfect.
So while you're listening to me and Pompe, turn your attention to the one who's listening. Simply turn your attention easily to that one who's looking through your eyes, that presence that's been with you since you were awake and aware. And what you'll find is there's this, I'd have to say, ageless presence, the same one that's been with you since you were 4, that you can recall when you were 2, and the same one that's here now, even though lots of things have changed for the external. Maybe your weight, your hair, your address, how many times you've been married, how many kids you have, how many times you've been divorced, your education, all of that is the external. But there's this aspect of you that's eternal and internal at this point. And that's the part of you that meditation, regardless of whatever technique you use, I have to say most meditations will help you to yoke to. And so what happens is that becomes your center point of peace. And what I love about meditation is it removes the shroud and the disillusionment and the delusion that you are something other than that. And so what happens through the practice of meditation is, I say it trains your attention in 3 ways. It trains your attention to be right here, right now, where peace is found, joy is found, safety is found, creativity is found, inspiration is found, connection is found. This moment, this moment, this moment, this is it. And this is it, and this is it. And meditation allows you to dwell deeply in the present moment, in most cases. Obviously, future-based meditations or past life meditations can train you to pay attention to something other than now. But in my case, in the practices I teach, it's really right here. So that's the first way. Otherwise, meditation helps you to focus on one thing at a time, which is your nature of your brain, but we're trained to multitask. And so this takes you back to monotasking, which is much more efficient and more pleasurable. And then the third way is that meditation helps you to change your reference point from the external, ever-changing, non-dependable reality to that one that's that infinite, dependable, present, ever-present consciousness. So that's what I love about meditation. But then the question comes, what is the source of this attention? And what I came up with, and you call it Buddha nature, consciousness, awareness, what I call it, what I've come to know it as, is love. So when you think about your attention and what it feels like when someone is completely paying attention to you without judgment, remember that non-judgmental attention, when they're beaming their attention at you and they see you and they get you and they hear you and they're there for you, that's love, isn't it?
Yes.
And you do the same thing, like your projects, the people you love, your pets, and your spiritual practice, when you beam your attention at that, you're loving it, right? Yes. So what if your attention is love? What if what's looking through your eyes and what you choose to focus on and what you choose to engage with, you're choosing to love? That's with your non-judgmental attention, right? Not competitive attention, not jealous attention, not contracted attention, but your unconditioned attention, when it's opened, it's love. And so when we start to look at the currency of attention, after all, we pay attention, we begin to notice that, first of all, it's not infinite. You only have so much bandwidth for your attention. Secondly, quite often it's so subtle that it gets hijacked. You don't even notice until you're like down a rabbit hole on the internet, or you're watching some crappy TV when you really needed to get back to a project, or your mind has obsessed over and over about something that is not even here. Once we start to become in charge of our attention, knowing what we're focusing on, how we're focusing, and choosing to focus on it, that's when the power really gets activated. So when you're talking about Buddha nature and consciousness and awareness and attention, I look at, when I'm sitting in meditation, I'll ask, well, where does this attention arise from? And yes, I get those same answers, but then I go even deeper. Well, what is that? What is that? I think of it as a field of love, that attention is like, it emerges from there like a beam. And I quite often go, okay, now how does it feel when I'm being paid attention to, when someone's giving me their full attention and they see me and they hear me and they get me and they've got this sort of expanded, loving attention, kind of maybe like a mother might to a child, or what you might give to your pet, or what your pet might give to you, or someone who's madly in love with you. And when someone is beaming their attention at you, it's as if they're beaming love to you, and you know what it feels like. It feels like love. So I came to the realization that attention is love, and especially your unconditioned, non-contracted, expanded, open attention is love. And once I started to recognize the value of attention, I started to recognize how often I and everybody I know gives it away. I give it away, by getting caught up in my bells, my to-do lists, my devices, some mental activity, gyrations about replaying old memories or projecting into the future and not being right here, right now, where my life is. So I really value my attention. I also value everybody else's attention who direct it towards me or whatever their projects are. And you can tell, an artist might, I have a lot of friends who are artists and writers, and they give their craft so much attention. And isn't it nicer there are two ways to do everything. Like, let's say, for me, I'm writing. So I can either write with this critical mind that's saying, you're an idiot, you're not a good writer, no one's going to like this, it's not going to matter. Or there's the way to write with this open awareness, like, here it comes. Oh, how interesting. So what happens for me is I have to start taking charge of the quality of my attention, what I choose to focus it on, and the ability to be able to sustain it on what really, truly matters to me. And so attention is so subtle, you can't see it or feel it, you can't touch it or taste it or smell it, but you can certainly feel the effects of it. And I find that the most important things in creation are that subtle. Love, gravity, electricity, magnetism. We can't touch it, but we couldn't live without it. And that's the same with attention. And we're really able to start appreciating it and taking charge of it.
Yeah, and I love that you're talking so much about it right now, because it is an aspect that you develop through meditation. And you and I have both practiced meditation for many, many, many years. We won't even say how long. And and we've taught meditation and we understand meditation. So we've had that experience. And we've also had the experience of where the theistic and the non-theistic traditions come together, and where the non-theistic awareness is the same as the theistic love. And it's the same experience, and it's the same channel, and it's the same state of being.
Yeah.
And so I think it's nice for people to hear this who are listening, who maybe are new to meditation, and to understand the depths of understanding and experience that meditation can take you to, because it really is an incredible world that unfolds for you in the present moment.
Right. Well, that's the key right there, is the world that unfolds with meditation doesn't necessarily unfold with your eyes closed as you're sitting there. That's the training for living. That's the training for being able to walk through the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, that's where the benefits show up. And I think that's probably a novice mistake, at least it was for me, waiting for the aha moments and the unity with God, in the middle of meditation. And that's not when it happens. It happens when we're able to pay attention, on a walk in nature, or paying attention to our own nature, or paying attention to a loved one in that currency of love that goes between. That all happens with the eyes open off the cushion. But it's informed by those awareness, that ability to pay attention that is practiced with the eyes closed.
Yeah, and I find for a lot of people in our culture, when you tell them that they're practicing meditation, and when I still refer to my own meditation as practice. They
Right.
think it means that you're not good at it.
Well, I
They
had
don't
a doctor
understand it.
once. It's like this doctor came to learn to meditate with me, and he goes, "Well, how can I get good at this?" I said, "Well, how'd you get good at surgery? I bet you practice, and that's what meditation's all about." I think we're under the impression, or new people are under the impression that they're going to be good at it right away. But it's not necessarily true. It took a while to ride a bike, to get up and walk as a human being. Even though meditation is everybody's birthright, and the meditation state is a normal state of consciousness, even though that is true, we have to practice it so that we can make that a more sustainable experience versus what we are currently practicing, and most of us are currently practicing the art of distraction, or the art of dismissing the importance of our own attention, or the art of dismissing ourselves. And so it's a different habit that we have to cultivate with meditation.
Yeah, it is true, and I tell people the same thing, that it's a habit, that's why it is like riding a bike. You do it every day and then it builds up over time. And now it's so wonderful because like you, I've been teaching it when it was considered very fringe, and now there's so much science to back it up.
Yeah, yeah. And I teach, you say theistic and non-theistic. What I tell people is I teach techniques, not traditions. But the techniques are informed by the traditions. But I think it's interesting when you break all the techniques down, they really do come down to those three components. It's just attention on an object, whether you have it with devotion or whether you have it with simple general awareness. And anybody can meditate. I've never met anyone who can't, and I meet people that won't. I think the biggest obstacle to meditation is that people hear that meditation is supposed to clear the mind. And what we find is, of course, the mind's nature is to think. So instead of sitting there wishing you could stop thinking, that's ridiculous anyway, waste your time doing that. This is why we put our attention on something else, and that settles the nervous system down so that the mind does slow down, and eventually there is more space between the thoughts. And so we don't stop thinking by thinking about not thinking. But what we do is we kind of trick the mind a little bit to focus on something again and again and again and again and again. And yes, it can be very boring. I'm not going to lie. Meditation is not all bells and whistles and rainbows and unicorns. It's just a commitment, just like anything else. Like brushing your teeth, you do it every day. You're not looking for a fabulous experience, but you have a great result, and that's like meditation.
I agree, and I like the concept of comparing it to brushing your teeth because it
I mean,
is
you wouldn't live without it.
exactly. If you do live without it, you're going to have problems.
Well, I think that meditators find that to be true as well. Is that especially if you start your day with meditation and you become less reactive and more present for your life, and you can meet the day with joy and presence and responsibility versus reactivity. But so many people sleep with their phone. Let's buy a watch and wear it instead and put the phone in the other room. So when you wake up to an alarm clock, you're not waking up to your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, your emails, your to-do list, your schedule. That starts to activate the sympathetic response in the brain, which then changes the way you walk through your day.
Mm-hmm.
And so put your phone in the other room, move into the day with awareness, and you can sit up against your headboard. You don't have to get a fancy outfit on or get fancy cushions. Sit up against your headboard and close your eyes. Find a technique you like. There's so many out there. You can focus on just about anything that pleases you, even your own name, if you wanted to. That's what Lord Alfred Tennyson did as a mantra. He used his own name. He sat there and went, Tennyson, Tennyson, Tennyson. And every time his mind drifted away to what was next for him, another poem or a relationship, he would bring it back again and again, again and again, again and again. And that's the training.
Yes, it is the training. And I know I like to tell people the same thing about their phone. I say there's a great setting. You don't have to just use it on the airplane. Airplane mode. Your alarm can go off, but your phone, all the apps and everything is turned off. And so, it's important, especially with a younger generation, that is going to bed with their phone next to their head and their computer next to their body. So thank you for that reminder.
Yes, and the two best times to meditate are first thing in the morning to sort of set the day, put the day on the right foot, and then the second time is what I like to use as happy hour. Before whatever you do to relax at night, whether you watch TV or surf the internet or read a good book, meditate between the hours of 4 and 6 are considered the ambrosia hours. So meditate for 10, 20 minutes between the hours of 4 and 6 in the morning and between the hours of 4 and 6 in the evening. And that will stabilize your nervous system. It will help you to train your attention, and it will help you to awaken to that which is looking through your eyes. And the quality of that is generally love and peace and contentment and clarity and creativity and connectedness. So you really wake up to who you are, which is not limited or reserved for the especially spiritual. It's who you really are. But we have to get rid of all the stuff that's shrouding that, and that's keeping us from being aware of it and keeping us from realizing it. And so that's my suggestion, twice a day, whether you like it or not, at least in the beginning.
Well,
you start to stabilize it.
Yes, and thank you. I think that that's really great practical advice for people. And before we end our interview, could you share a little bit? I know you have like a very extensive schedule coming up, and people are looking at this in the middle of June 5th through the 15th. So could you just share with them a little bit of where you are and what you're doing and what your world is?
What my world is. My motive for doing anything I'm doing is to create more peace on this planet. So I can't say I always say yes, but I pretty much say yes to every invitation. And so by the time you're listening to this, I will have been to Dublin, Ireland, to do an interview about the power of attention. I will have had put together a retreat in Cork, Ireland, which is about Ayurveda and the power of attention. I'll have gone to Nottingham, where they're having a big meditation in the town square for over 1,000 people. I'll be guiding them in a compassion meditation. I'll be meditating in the Sherwood Forest, which is this beautiful forest in England, which is currently being threatened by fracking permits. And so we're going to do a meditation sit-in there. And then I'm going to be meditating at Sir Isaac Newton's house with Dr. Dan Siegel. Then I'll come back to the United States, and my next big event, I'm trying to think where and when it is. I think it is at this new retreat center, which is in the Santa Cruz area, and it's in the Redwoods. It's called, what's that?
Go ahead.
You know about it? Yeah, it's 1440 Multiversity, and it's beautiful, and I'll be speaking there. I'll also be speaking in Austin, Texas at the end of June at a place called Lake Austin Spa, and doing a book signing at Book People, which is a great independent bookstore in Austin. And then I will be, there's so many places, but the ones that come to me are, I'm going to be in Boone, North Carolina at another retreat center, which I've always wanted to go to. It's called the Art of Living Retreat Center, and it's run by Sri Ravi Shankar, who teaches a lot about breath work, and they have an Ayurveda spa there. I'm doing a retreat there. And you can find all about my schedule and the really cool places there are to go visit at my website.
Oh, thank you. And people will be able to see the links, and they'll be able to go there and find out all about it. So thank you so much for coming back again. I know from what you're talking about how busy you are, and I really appreciate you coming back for another interview this year for Relax and Breathe. It's always wonderful to talk to you. So I wish you lots of success and safe travels around the world.
Thank you. I hope everyone meditates so they can be peaceful and we can create more peace on this planet.
That's right, 1% at a time.
Exactly.
Take care.
You too.